Hello everyone, welcome to Mind Brain Talks, the place where you find diverse and scientifically accurate information regarding psychology, psychotherapy, neuropsychology and neurosciences every single week. My name is Bruno Faustino. I am a licensed clinical psychologist and neuropsychologist who's been working as a therapist, researcher and educator for the past few years. Here, I discuss and describe lots of topics, research findings and methods regarding psychology and neuroscience for you to understand it and for you to learn something about it. All videos here are just for educational purposes and it's not intended to diagnose any psychiatric condition or neurological disorder. So, without further delay, let's jump for today's content. I've used these 4 manuals to prepare myself to develop this video, and I think these 4 manuals are very good in explaining how we can use statistics and how we can apply statistics to every kind of psychological problem and how we can perform these tests in SPSS. So if you like what you're seeing here, please check the video description and you will find there these 4 manuals. So today I will show to you how to perform the independent sample t-test. I will show to you how to do it in the SPSS, but first, and as usually, I will show to you some notions, some assumptions that we must have before performing this test. So let's go! The independent sample t-test is a statistical test that is used to explore if the means of 2 independent groups, such as different means of 2 group scores, are statistically different. Normally, it's a measurement of the same observation on the different time or in the same time, okay? Which means that these groups must be different. So, it is a parametric test. And really what we want to know if there is a statistical difference between 2 points, 2 conditions, 2 measurements or a matched pair which is not the same observations, okay? What we want to know is the difference between 2 means which belongs to different conditions, and these conditions are not in the same sample, okay? That's why the test is called independent sample t-test. So now let's see the independent sample t-test parametric assumptions. So dependent variable must be continuous and independent variable must be categorical, such as group 1 or group 2. We must have a random sample from a population, okay? We expect to have normal distribution. Also we expect to have homogeneity of the variances, and as usually we expect to have no outliers in our sample. Now let's look to our hypothetical research problem, okay? Individuals in clinical groups tend to manifest lower skills than individuals in non-clinical groups in emotion regulation. However, this assumption must be explored. So, we can develop an operant condition such as individuals in clinical group has lower means in emotion regulation than individuals in non-clinical group. Our null hypothesis is as usually no difference between these 2 means, and our H1 hypothesis is to have a difference between these means, and our p-value normally it will be 0.05. So now let's go to SPSS. So now we are here in our SPSS environment, and then we have our variables right here. So here we have emotion regulation, and here we have our sample. So this is the second sample, okay? And here you can find the number 1 sample. So here this variable is divided in sample 1 and sample 2, okay? So this is the variable that it will be defined as categorical in independent sample t-test. So now let's see how to perform this analysis. We just go here to analyze, compare means, okay, and we have right there independent sample t-test. We select here, okay? We have here this grouping variable and this test variable. We will choose the variable emotion regulation, okay? And we will choose here in the grouping variable sample. Now we must define groups, okay? We press here and then as you saw, our variable is defined in group 1 and group 2, so we can just group 1 and group 2. We will not use a cut point, okay? Options. It's the same as the paired sample t-test. We will use the 95 confidence intervals and we will exclude cases analysis by analysis, okay? We will not perform bootstrap in this analysis, so okay, let's go. Let's see. So the independent sample t-test gives us these two tables, okay? Here we have our sample size, okay? 231 for non-clinical sample and 66 to our clinical sample. As you can see, here are means, standard deviation and standard error. So let's go to the second table. The second table, we can see that there is the variable here, emotion regulation. Here we have the Levene test for equality of variances, okay? We have test here, the significance here, okay? And then we move to independent sample t-test, which is this value right there and the degrees of freedom right there. And then we have our p-value here, that is, in this case, it's higher than 0.05. So, as you can see, our means are not statistically different. So, in this problem, we cannot reject the null hypothesis, because the null hypothesis is the absence of meaning, the absence of effect between our mean groups, okay? Between the mean of these two groups, as we may see, our p-value is not significant. Therefore, there aren't differences between emotion regulation in these two samples, okay? So, this is a different problem, and therefore we cannot reject the null hypothesis. So I will show you here the other two values. Here we have the t-test for equality of means, okay, and the confidence intervals. However, what is important here is these values. This is the statistical test for t-test, and this is the p-value, which is higher than 0.05, which means that our hypothesis it's not confirmed. Therefore, we must accept the null hypothesis because there is an absence of effect. Okay, and that's it. So I hope that you enjoyed the contents of today, and don't forget to see the video description regarding today's theme to look to the references that I think that are very useful to understand these concepts. Also, if you like what I'm doing here, please consider to subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications. Also, if you want to say something about these topics, please use the comment section below to express your mind. Welcome to the Mind Brain Talks, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye! Hello everyone, welcome to Mind Brain Talks, the place where you find diverse and scientifically accurate information regarding psychology, psychotherapy, neuropsychology and neurosciences every single week. My name is Bruno Faustino, I am a licensed clinical psychologist and neuropsychologist who's been working as a therapist, researcher and educator for the past few years. Here, I discuss and describe lots of topics, research findings and methods regarding psychology and neuroscience for you to understand it and for you to learn something about it. All videos here are just for educational purposes and it's not intended to diagnose any psychiatric condition or neurological disorder. So, without further delay, let's jump for today's content. So, today I will talk about a statistical test called One-Way ANOVA, okay? And I'll show to you how to perform it in the SPSS, but first I'll give you some notions about the ANOVA and I'll give you some information for you to understand how this test works and how you may utilize it in your statistical problems, okay? Let's go! I've used these 4 manuals to prepare myself to develop this video, and I think these 4 manuals are very good in explaining how we can use statistics and how we can apply statistics to every kind of psychological problem and how we can perform these tests in SPSS. So if you like what you're seeing here, please check the video description and you will find there these 4 manuals. One-Way ANOVA, called the analysis of the variance, compares the two means of 2 or more independent groups and tries to explore the statistical differences between these means. The difference between the one sample t-test is that here we can compare more than 2 groups, okay? Also, it's a parametric test. And One-Way ANOVA allows to contrast in the post-hoc comparisons to see which specific pairs of means are significantly different within different samples or groups, okay? We can test more than 2 groups and then we can compare specifically which differences are between each means of different groups. We can pair specific groups to see if there is statistical differences between means, okay? So, if we have 3 groups, for instance, we can compare these 3 groups, okay? So now, let's look to the parametric assumptions of One-Way ANOVA. The dependent variable must be continuous and independent variable must be categorical. We need a random sample from data population and we need a normal distribution. Also, we expect to have homogeneity of the variances and we expect not to have outliers in our sample. Now let's look to our hypothetical research problem. So, let's see. Individuals in clinical groups and waiting lists tend to show higher symptomatology than individuals in non-clinical groups. However, this assumption must be explored. Now we can infer some operant condition, such as individuals in clinical sample and waiting list show higher psychological symptoms than individuals in non-clinical sample. Our age 0, our null hypothesis, is that there isn't any difference between these means, and our age 1 hypothesis is that we should find a difference between these 3 groups, a difference between the means in these 3 groups. Okay, so now let's go to SPSS. So now we are here in the SPSS environment, and as you can see we have our sample, okay, our variable related to the sample. We have sample 2, sample 1, okay, and sample 3, okay. So now, and we have here the other variable regarding our hypothesis, which is symptomatology, okay. And then I'll show to you how to perform a One-Way ANOVA, okay. So we just go here, analyze, compare means, then we move to One-Way ANOVA, okay, right there. We select, and select ANOVA and shows this table. Now we will select symptomatology and our sample. So as you can see, we have this menu regarding contrasts, but we will not choose nothing, okay? But we will choose here the bufferonic corrections to see the post-hoc comparison, okay? As I said before, this comparison allows us to understand the differences, the specific differences between the three means of the three different groups, okay? So, okay. Here we'll not choose nothing, okay? Because this video it's only about ANOVA, okay? And let's just press OK. So we have these two tables. As you can see, the comparison between groups. Okay, here we have the sum of squares, degrees of freedom, the mean squares, the F, the value for ANOVA, and our significance. Okay, as you can see, our p-value is below 0.5, therefore there is a significant difference between the three means of these groups. And now we can see here the multiple comparisons. As you can see, we have the non-clinical compared to the clinical sample and the waiting list. As you can see, they are all significant differences. Here we have the clinical sample comparing the mean with the non-clinical sample and the waiting list. As you can see, the difference between clinical sample and non-clinical sample is different, okay, statistically different, but from the clinical sample from waiting list there is not a significant difference between these two means. As you can see, the p-value is higher than 0.05, okay, and here we can see that the waiting list mean it's different between the non-clinical, okay, because it's below 0.05, but, and it's the same result here and here, it's not significant for the clinical group. So this means that the individuals in the waiting list and in clinical sample do not have different values on symptomatology, okay? But when compared to the non-clinical sample, as you can see, there is a significant difference between these two means, which means that individuals in a non-clinical sample have a value in symptomatology, and individuals on the waiting list and on clinical samples do not have a difference between these two means, okay? So I hope that you enjoyed the content of today, and don't forget to see the video description regarding today's theme to look to the references that I think that are very useful to understand these concepts. Also, if you like what I'm doing here, please consider to subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications. If you want to say something about these topics, please use the comment section below to express your mind. Welcome to the Mind Brain Talks, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!